I'm Brandy, and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome back. Every light in the house is on. Haunted house. Alright, we're going to use some Quick and Thick and hot glue, elephant and ink chalk paints, a variety of paint brushes, possibly a sponge, whatever you want to use here, some flameless candles, little tea lights will work, spackle and tape. This is from Dollar Tree, it's a little sign. And this is from Dollar Tree. Large house. Alright, so I am going to put a piece of tape over the hole in the top, flip it over, and I'll use a little bit of lightweight spackling to fill the hole in. I know a lot of y'all are familiar with this technique and how I do this. Very easy to do, but we've got new subscribers now, so we want to show them all the good tips too. And now we have a nice even surface so we can paint the front. Make sure that that is dry before you apply your paint, and then I'll put black chalk paint on here. This is going to be a base rather than a sign. We're going to use it as a hack for something else. So I'll paint the whole thing black. You don't have to paint the bottom of it. If you want to, you can, but nobody's going to see the bottom. And then we'll paint the entire house this color as well. Now this is like a mirrored thing. It's exactly the same on both sides. So I just chose one side to be the back and one to be the front. If you want to go ahead and paint the back of yours black, you can do that at this point too and let it dry. Okay, so I am going to put this on the bottom, and this is going to be what will hold up our sign and make the base. I'll measure it, and it's just a tad over 4 inches from each end to make it center. And then when I find that center spot, I'll add a little bit of my glue and a little bit of hot glue in between. And for you new folks, 2 different glues, because one is going to hold it in place quickly until the long-term adhesive sets up. Just makes it a quicker way to get your projects done. So clean your little edges up, let that dry, and then go ahead and you can paint the rest of it at this point if you would like. I've got some popsicle sticks, tongue depressors, craft sticks, whatever you want to call them, and little wood chips. I've decided I'm going to use the popsicle sticks in 2 different sizes, and these are just my miter shears. I'm going to use these to cut these off. And what I'm doing, instead of cutting all the way through, is kind of biting down on it and then breaking it off, and it leaves a splintered edge. And I like the little splintered edge because we're going to make shutters for the windows, and I want them to look like they are old, old. You can also do this to board your windows up if you want to board them up. Make them look like it's an abandoned old house. Totally up to you. Ours is not abandoned though. It's full of spirits, right? Now this is easy to do. For the larger windows, I'm going to use the bigger sticks, and you can see the smaller size is what I'll use for the smaller windows, because the bigger sticks are going to kind of overhang the sides, a little side area, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just roughly measuring how large I want my shutters to be, and I'll make enough so that every window has 2. You can also do this for your door if you want to, but I'm not going to do it for the door. Leave the door open because I've got something else in mind for that. Now I'm just placing them here and there to see how I might want them to look. Of course, they should be in disrepair. It's an old house, right? So I'm going to have them kind of sideways to look like they're maybe hanging off, partially covering the window, just looking all crazy. Alright, and I'm going to add some of my Type Bond here. You could also use hot glue if you want. I'm just going to kind of sandwich that in there to flatten it out. And then I'll just place them down however I like them. If you get a little squish of glue on the outside, you can get a Q-tip or a craft stick or something to clean it up. If you're enjoying the video so far, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I make all kinds of fun things, and I have been told I have quite unique taste. So if that is something you're interested in checking out, then you go right ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you here. So I'm going to do this to each one. I'm not trying to get identical look out of each window. No, I'm going to make it a little bit different for each one of them. Perfect. And then when they are like I like them, I will let those dry. I've got some of this little fencing that you can get at any craft store where they sell miniatures. And I am going to make a little fence around the bottom because this is going to be like the side yard in the house. It's a white picket. I would have loved having some of that metal ribbon, but I'm completely out. So we're going to use this, and I'm just going to paint it black. You can also slide the pickets out, so if you wanted it to look like there's a hole in the fence or broken boards, you could also do that. I've also seen like a stained colors, like a wood color. We're just going to make ours black. I'm alternating my glue. Also not necessary, that's just how I wanted to do it. And then you can clean that up as well with craft stick, an old paint brush, a Q-tip, whatever you would like. Quick and Thick does dry clear, so it really wouldn't be a problem though if you left it. Alright, now after it is dried and all the shutters are dry, I'm just using a sponge brush. You could use a regular paintbrush if you would like to. You could make these in a different color than the black. It could be, you could do gray shutters, you could do blue, you could do red, orange, purple, whatever you want to do for your house. I'll let the paint dry and then flip it over, and I'm using some of this burlap ribbon, and that will be in each of my windows. I thought about using some of that spider web cloth, but it's really hard to glue that down. So I just thought, you know what, this looks creepy. It looks like that little piece I just put down looks like it's torn. It's just the stitching is wrong on it, so it just looks like, you know, mesh or something. That's what I'm going for. That's what I wanted to do. I want it to be something dark, but I also want it to be something that you can see through to some extent, because we're going to have lights in here and I want to see that. Now I'll go around each of the windows with some hot glue, and then protect your fingers, of course, and then you can just put it in place. And make sure that it is nice and flat. And if any of it overhangs the edge of the house, you can just trim that off. If you have a piece of fabric that you want to use as a backing here, you wouldn't have to cut all these pieces necessarily. You could just measure your fabric, cut it, put it on the back. This is very easy to do, not a problem at all. Any of us can do this, right? Yes. So we're going to do all of them. And then this is the door, so there's nothing in front of the door. There's no shutters or anything on the other side. I'm going to glue the bottom part down as well. You can trim that off so it's not overhanging, but I have something in mind for that little door. We're going to have a little figure standing there on the other side. Okay? Yes. See, I like this. I like it. Almost kind of looks like a screen. Now I'm going to prop it up, and I'm going to do a little bit of a light brush, and I mean I'm using the slightest touch with this brush to show the edges. And this is the elephant gray that I'm using right now. If you don't want to use chalk paints, use your acrylics. That is totally fine to do. I have chalk paint, find it easy to work with as a crafter. When I need to get material out on a schedule, it dries quickly, it gives a good coverage, and so that's why I keep using chalk paint. It just works for me. I'm going to continue along. You can see this is easy to do. I'm just kind of bumping the edge and then dragging slightly over the top. Bump the edge, slightly over the top. And then the top of it and the bottom of it, you can give a little brush that too. And that just makes it stand out. You see the difference between the bottom and the top now? Gives a little more dimension. So there are my shutters. I'm happy with that. Now, I decided to use a little scrap of wood here and it was actually the handle off of a foam paintbrush. I saved these things. I'm going to glue these together and make like a little tool. I'm going to use this to help me put a pattern on the shutters to give them a little bit more of a pattern. Maybe, you know how shutters have those slats that go across? I was thinking if I had something with ridges in it, and I did search my stamps, but I don't have a stamp that would work. So I thought, let me just make something. You know, a lot of that with crafting is just experimental. It's just experimental, right? So what does it hurt to try? It's just paint. If I don't like it, I could go fix it. So I'm just using that gray paint again, and I am just going to use it to kind of stamp down very lightly in little sections on these shutters. It's not a lot, it's a little bit. It's enough to make it look like it's consistent through all of the shutters. You see, it gives a little bit of a stripe texture. You could also use a pencil though and draw your lines on, totally up to you. I've also turned it sideways. I'm using the side of it to give some lines. And I like that much better. So now we have the aging done on there, or the lines and the stripes and the shading done on it. And for me, I like it, but it's totally up to you how you want to do this. So now we're going to address the yard here. The back's not so much a big deal because, you know, you're not going to see the back of it. I'm going to add some glue, and the reason I'm holding the glue gun like this is because I'm smearing that paint to make it kind of flat. I've got some moss that I'm not protecting my fingertips. Y'all put your finger protectors on, please, please. I care about y'all, that's why I'm telling you, please protect your little pinkies. And then just push that moss down into it. You can use any color moss you want. You don't have to use moss. You can just leave it black on the bottom. You could use some type of a fake grass here. You could use, I don't know, let your imagination just run wild. I always encourage you on this channel to make it your own. So if you've got an idea that sparks in you to do it, then you do it your way. Just gonna give you some inspiration, okay? And I like that. I like it. Looks like old grass and kind of brambly. I like that. Brambly? There's another word I can add to my dictionary of imaginary words. Now we're going to put our candles on. I'm leaving them white. If I paint these candles black, you won't be able to see it glow all the way through. And I like the idea of it being a glow all the way through the candle. So I'm going to make sure that each of my on and off switches are toward me. And then I'll call the other part the back of the candle, and that's where I'm going to put my nano tape. Nano tape, alien tape, it's a double stick gel mounting tape, y'all. You can get it at Walmart, you can get it at Dollar Tree occasionally. I get mine from TEMU. It is very inexpensive, and it is some strong, versatile stuff. If I used hot glue here, it might melt the candle, the outside of that candle. I might not be able to use it again. But we want to save money where we can, right? And look, it just floats up there. Didn't even have to glue on a shelf or anything. I'll do that to each one. You just peel the back off, stick it on the candle, peel the other part off, and stick it to your surface. And I'm holding it where I can push through that ribbon and through the board to make sure that it has got a tight bond onto this. Now I'm going to use this little ghost cutout. It's a little too cartoony for me to use with the smiley face forward, so I'm going to turn it backwards. It's white, so you should be able to see it fairly well. I'll glue it in place, and then when the lights are on, you'll see just a hint of that silhouette in the door. Ooh. Okay. Now, we're going to put some spooky trees in the yard because why not? If you want to use the little trees that come from Dollar Tree, the bottle brush trees, you can use those here. I did not have any of those. I have one extra large, but it's way out of scale, so I decided to make my own. I am using two little pieces of black greenery, one with the stem a little longer, one with it shorter, and I'm going to hot glue these together to make little trees to go on either side of the house in those little side yard pieces. I'm going to do each one the same way, kind of backwards though. I want the tallest part to be against the tree, and it's going to kind of taper off toward the end of the fence. Because we put these two together, it makes a thicker bottom, so that instead of using floral foam, I can just add hot glue and push it into that moss and it will stay there. Now you do have to hold it a minute. I do cut out all the time that I'm holding things in place because, you know, nobody wants to see me do that for 2 minutes. But when the glue has a chance to sit up, then I will kind of, you know, move on to the next. Now this is a little piece that is, of course, out of focus. It's just a little piece of branch I got in a bag from Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to use it as a stump. I'll add a little more moss, trim it off, put some on the bottom, some glue on the bottom, and then I'm going to put it on the side here to raise my little pumpkin up. I've got the pumpkin and I'm going to glue him right on top of the moss. And then on the other side, you can put whatever you want. If you want to add another pumpkin or a skeleton or something there, you can, but I didn't want this to be identical on both sides. Alright, so now I'm going to go back in and dry brush across the roof and all of the sides, and just a little bit will be dragged or drug across the middle. Just a little, just to make it look a little bit more. You know how it is when you're doing a project, and for me, I like to do a little at a time. Then I look at the grand scheme of things, and then I add on. And you can see I did the fence down there too. Gonna do some dry brushing on that. You could put a little mailbox there if you had it, and you know, I just thought about that, and I do have one that I could have painted. Goodness gracious alive. Alright, I'm turning on all of my switches here so you can see what it's gonna look like, and we're not done with it though. There's some other things I'm gonna add. Look! That's why I said every light in the house is on. By the way, that's a country song. I'm sure y'all have heard it. This came off of another piece from Dollar Tree that I bought last year, and I thought this is perfect for this house. It's got just a tad of glitter on it, not a lot, but just on the wording. I'm going to find the position I like, and then I'll grab my glue, and I actually put a little bit too much glue here, a little too high up, but I'll clean it up. And then a little on the bottom to secure it in place. What's a haunted house without an enter if you dare sign? With the little ghost down there in the bottom to intimidate. I'm picking my hot glue off. Now I've just turned off the lights, and this is off of another one that I got from Dollar Tree as well. I've had it a couple of years. When I take those 3-piece signs apart, I like to save pieces. So I'm going to add the moon with the bats over to the side, kind of slanted. I'm just using that little jar to help prop it up, in case y'all were wondering. I'm trying to get the right angle here. Then I'm getting my big head all in there. I was supposed to edit that out, so I'm sorry about that. Press it in place and just kind of hold it. See where you need your little points to hold it in place. I don't want it to be in front of any of the windows, though. We don't want to block the windows. You can just make a moon yourself if you want to. And I like this. I'm going to add a bat up here because there's a little flaw where I tried to erase an accident. But I'll add a little glitter bat, and these are just the stickers you can get from Dollar Tree as well, and so is this one. I've had these for a few years. I'm just going to add the little witch up there. Now, if you wanted to put pictures in each of those windows, you could. If you printed it on tissue or it had a white background, you would be able to see the candles through it. I like it just like it is. And we got this little skeleton friend. He's checking it out. He's considering, do I go in or do I not? And this is how it's going to look displayed. And I hope y'all like this. A lot of good feedback came from the witch, light up witch that we did. So I thought that you would enjoy these as well. Some more ideas of how to use them. Whatever brought you here today, I am so thankful that you're here. Maybe I was in suggestions, maybe I popped up in a playlist somewhere, or somebody shared the video. I appreciate it, and I would love it if you would share that love by sending this video to somebody who you think would enjoy it. Don't you just love the imagination with Halloween? And really all the holidays. You can just be so imaginative and just let your inner child just run wild. Let that inner child, him or her, just have the joy and glee that comes along with trick-or-treating and the lights. I hope you like this one. Gothic candelabras are next. All right, here's that copper paint again, and the black, and that Mod Podge. Okay. I am taking these two little candle pieces. They have little hangers on them. We're going to be using these. Some tea lights or some little flameless candles, some wire, and these two pieces from Dollar Tree. I'm recycling these. All right, I'll take these outside and spray them down. Now I'm going to take these candles apart. Just going to take those handles off, and I'm going to put them aside for future projects. We won't need them. So you won't need a candle that has a handle on it. You can just grab any candle that you like, but it needs to have little divots or little creases where you can use wire to attach them. I'm going to thoroughly wash and dry my candle cups, and I'm also going to be sure that I take the stickers off. Of course, we're not mini pearling it, right? I'll grab some of my tape, and this is it's like a black chalkboard type paint type tape, but I use it as a masking tape and it works perfectly. Got to think outside the box, folks. Now when you put these pieces of tape on a rounded surface, it's going to pull down. You see how it's pulled down there? But don't worry, because we're going to fix that. I found that if you use smaller pieces, instead of trying to put one big piece on there, you can curve it a lot better. So if it wrinkles at the top, it doesn't matter, as long as you get your line straight on the bottom. If you have any little sections that overlap or are out of the way like this, grab your utility knife and just cut that off in the curve. See? We fixed it. That easy. Do it again. Nice and flat. Okay? We're going to do that on both of these to make sure they have a ring around the top. That gives us a clear section at the top that will not get any paint. Now we are going to stuff the inside. You can use paper, you can use newspaper. My paper towels were here, so I'm using that. You could even use Walmart bags. You know, you could use some plastic, recycle something, it doesn't matter. Then I'm going to take a piece in the top, push it down, and then overhang the sides. I don't want that little lip getting any paint on it either. I'm just going to be sure that when I tape this paper towel down, that I'm putting the tape right on top of the other tape. Don't let it extend past it, or it's going to get in the way of your spray paint finished. You don't want that to happen. Continue all around until the rim of that is covered and your line is straight. Okay, we're going to do both of those like that. After they have been spray painted outside, this is how they're going to look. And then we're going to peel off the paint. Now, I did let the spray paint dry completely in the sun, and the spray paint you can see is on those little shingles or whatever those Gothic pieces are in the back. And then I am going to remove all of my tape. Pull that out, and this is what it's going to look like so far. You can see I'm just using my weeding tool and the little pieces that stuck on there. Now I have a nice crisp line, and I like the way that looks. There's both of those so far. Now I'm going to use the matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to go over the top of this and the rim, all of that up there. And then I'm going to go all the way over the paint as well, and I'm going to continue in a circular motion all the way around the candle so that I don't leave any harsh marks or shadows or whatever in there. So I'm going to go with that curve all the way around and all the way over the bottom as well. Just like this. And I'm making sure that it's even all the way around, especially up there on the top where it has the clear glass. We're going to put that aside, let that dry, and I am going to start on these beautiful arches. So I am going in the middle with black, and I am kind of accentuating the shape there, flicking upward and outward from the center, and then I'll do the same thing on the sides. All the way around, because we are going to age these up just like we aged the other two pieces, and that's what's going to pull it all in together. The colors are similar and the technique that we use are similar. They're not exactly the same, but they're similar. Then I'm going to go on the crossbars and get those. If you wanted to use your sponge on this, you could use your sponge on this because we've been using that already. But you can also use your brush and just drag it across there. That's going to give it some aging. Now what I really like to do is make sure that my two pieces are similar. So this is what this one's going to look like when I get it all together. And I'll put these two beside each other to make sure that they are similar to one another, because when you use them in your decor, they're most likely going to be in the same area, hanging on either sides of doors or either sides of the television or whatever. So I want them to be somewhat similar, but not twins, right? Not twins, but maybe cousins, right? You know what we say about that? And it's easy enough to kind of, fix them if they're not exactly the same. It's easy. Close enough to perfect for me. Y'all remember that song? Who listens to country music in the 80s? Who sang that song? Y'all remember? All right, so once that's done, I'm going to go on the inside just where it's clear. It doesn't matter if it overlaps onto the painted section on the bottom. It's okay. But I just want to make sure that this is like a foggy look, or what is the word I'm looking for? It's just going to be kind of like a smoky look, maybe. Frosted. That's the word for it. Frosted. And the more layers you put, the more frosted the look is going to be. But just be sure that you dry it in between. And I'm going to go over the top again, because why not? Everything needs to be consistent and even. And then I'm going to do it for both candles, and then I'm going to dry them. I'll give them a little head start with my heat here, and then I'll put them aside by the fan. Then I'm going to seal these with my Mod Podge sealer. Then we're going to put the candles on the beautiful arches. So because my candle cup has a curve where it's almost like a little pot belly on the bottom and the top is more narrow, I need something that's going to fill that gap. So these beads that I have are going to be great to place in there so that they are steady and they don't flip around, they don't move around. See the frosted look on the top of that glass? I love that. I think there's a product that you can buy too that will give you that frosted look. I just figured my Mod Podge would do it, so why buy something else, right? Okay, so I've twisted my floral wire around there. I'm going to push it through my frame right at the bottom. Now the reason I do it at the bottom is because the cup will sit right on the bottom. That's just the shape of my candle cup. Totally up to you how you want yours to work out. But you can use wire to hold it in place. And for those of you who are concerned about that silvery metallic looking wire, you're not going to see that when we get finished. See that string over there on the right? We're going to be covering that up, so no worry. I want the wire though, because it's going to give me a sure stability. Do not, when you do something like this, put a regular flamed candle in it, because you don't know. Something might fall, something might burn, right? You don't want anything like that to happen. Let's just go ahead and use a flameless candle. And if you like the way candles smell, just get you a wax melter, right? Just get you a little wax burner, and that will be the scent, and people will think it's coming from your candles. So I'm taking some black cord. I think that I got this from Dollar Tree. It feels like I had like the black cord, the brown cord, and a white cord all together. I'm not sure what the material is they're made out of because I used them. They're off of their original packaging, so I can't say for sure. But it is thicker than string. And it is not jute. It's not jute either. Okay, so I'm going to now start putting the string on the bottom. This is going to give more security. I'm going to go around the bottom, and then for me, instead of going in the holes right next to that bar that goes down the middle, I'm going right to the outside. So we're not going over where we put the wire in. It's right next to it because I feel like that's going to give it more stability rather than it rocking back and forth, and I don't want that to happen. So you just want to tie it on tightly, whatever you use. And hey, if you've got one that's bigger than what I have, you can use that on there too. You can use something twice the size of what I had, and it will still look good on there. It's not going to be out of shape, and it won't cover up the top of that beautiful Gothic design. So you don't have to worry about that, okay? Remember, y'all, when you come to my channel, it's all about inspiring you. And I also like the idea of you leaving here feeling better about yourself. Whether it's from crafting, whether it's feeling supported, whether it's feeling the camaraderie of other people who have something in common. That's what I want you to feel. One of my recent videos, people were so kind to each other. There were so many comments where crafters went to other crafters and told them, you know, and talked to them about being confident and having faith in the future and just being good to one another. You don't know how much that touches my heart, that my channel on art can be something that can help cure your soul. Absolutely. And I'm not going to take credit for that. We all know where that came from. We know where that came from. That came from our source, right? We know where it came from. Now look, it's nice and sturdy, but I want the top to be a little thicker so it looks like the bottom. I'm just going to go back through that original bead, and if you put glue on there, it's going to pop off. You're going to have to use wire to put it together to keep it in place. I'm just telling you now. But look how sturdy that is, and look how nice it looks. I think it looks good. It is small, but it is what I had, and I wanted to try it, and I really do like it. And because my piece is it sits flat, I could actually use it sitting down as bookends. I could use it in so many different ways. Now, what you just saw me do is add a little hot glue from where I tied it so that it would stay down. And this is what it looks like. You can still see through that copper because I only put one coat on there. And you can see that light through there. I love it. So we're going to do the same thing to the other one. Now we got little twinsies. We're going to age it a little bit. So I've got I just showed you that you can get chalkboard paint from Dollar Tree. I'm using the tiniest bit. Most of it is off of the brush, even though it looks like the brush is loaded. It is not. I'm using what remains on there. And I'm just going to go over in a circular motion the bottom and around the copper part, because I want it to not look like a shiny brand new piece. It needs to look like it has been around too. So that's what I did here. If you don't like the copper, you could do gold and black. You could do silver and black. See, you can sit it. I have mine sitting down now because I don't have a place on my display area here to hang the two pieces, so they're just sitting. But you get the idea. And this is in the full light, still quite bright. And then we'll switch to half light. Still a lot of warmth and glow. You can still see the copper through the black on those little arches. And here it is in the dark. Still love that. Now we can't see our arches as well, but a taller candle cup and candle would really show that for you. But it's still going to make a beautiful display in the daytime, even when the candles are off. Thank you for being here today and for being for me every time a video post. You mean so much to me. The three witchy sisters. You can use a glue stick or some glue, scissors. This is a banner set that I got from TEMU. I've chosen 3 out of here. And this is some boxes. Now, you can get your boxes. This was $5 at Target originally. I didn't pay that much for it, but you can get boxes from Dollar Tree that are the same size. They don't have to be different sizes. This is just the way that I'm doing it because I have them, right? So why not? Now, you can arrange your boxes in a variety of different ways. And I'm just showing you some different ways you could do it. This is for y'all. I wasn't going to do any more Halloween. To be honest with you, I was going to stop and go straight to Christmas. But some of y'all, a lot of y'all really enjoyed the curios that I've done. So I thought, well, let me show you another way you can do them if you can't find the little pipe drawers or whatever they're called. If you can't find them, you can just make your own sort of situation. And I'm very happy with the way this turned out. So I do hope that you like it as well. So now I'm just looking to see which one of the girls I would like in each box. And I'm kind of going off of the size, you know, how much of the illustration I want inside of the box. This is the arrangement I like. And now I'm choosing my ladies. And I like that the 2 on the bottom are facing each other. Okay, so I've chunked the glue stick and I'm going to be using my glue. I've also got some of this wire ribbon from Dollar Tree. I can't find this anymore. This is the last of it, and I have not been able to find it at several Dollar Trees. So I am going to apply some of my glue right in the bottom. And then I'll use a brush to kind of spread it out. I'm not using a lot, probably. It's not a heavy application, but it's enough that it has, you know, some stickiness because we want this to fit down in there and to hold it. Now you trim down your pictures however you want. You can use a pendulum cutter, you can use a tape measure, ruler, measure it all, put it in there. I usually just go by my eye, and if it's a little bit too small, I'm okay with that. It usually blends out, or you can always add some trim to it. Right? We're not going to quit just for that. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the next box and put the next lady in there. Same process, going all over it. And what you don't see me do is I do add a thin coat right to the top of all these when I'm done, and it gives them a glossy, kind of a glossy finish if you use that clear glue on it. And generally I enjoy matte, but I knew I wanted to do something that would look better with gloss. So you'll see what I mean later. All right, so here are those ladies in the boxes. They have been glossed over and they are dry. And now I'm going to start using this metal ribbon. I'm not even exactly sure what this is called, y'all, but I believe that's what it is. And I found them in the gardening section. I had 2 different types, completely out of the other one, and then I'm down to the last of this. I'm going to use these to go on the top of each one of the boxes, and then I'm going to frame it out by putting them on the bottom as well. So first I'll just decide how much I need for each box. Again, I'm not using a ruler. I'm just kind of looking where I need to go and holding it with my finger. Then I'm using my cutters here just to kind of hold on to them and weaken that. You can just kind of push it back and forth, and it'll break off. Metal fatigue, I believe is what it's called. And we'll get enough for each one of the boxes. This looks very Victorian to me, so I thought it would be suited for this. Suiting? Need more coffee, girls. I need more coffee. Girls and guys, because I do hear that there are some couples who watch my videos together, and that's awesome. I welcome everybody on this channel. All right, so instead of grabbing the box and measuring it again, I'm just making sure that I have 2 of each size for the 3 boxes. Easy enough to do. If you're enjoying this content, if you've seen my other videos, why don't you subscribe to the channel? I would love to have you here, and I'm going to bring you as unique, affordable pieces as I possibly can, and that is a promise. All right, I'm taking an old sponge brush here, so I got a hole in the side of it, and I'm just going to use it with a little bit of chalkboard paint. Any black paint would work for this. I don't want this to be shiny, so the chalkboard paint has a matte finish. I was going to use my ink chalk paint, but just to show you, this works really good, and I got it from Dollar Tree. I don't want solid coverage here. I want to give this kind of a tarnished look. Now, there has been some discussion about the way I do this. Some people say put your metallic color down first, then brush the black on top. Either way is totally fine. Just make sure that your layers are dry in between, and you can do whichever one you like for, to make it your own. Just pressing that down. It is not even full coverage. You can see that. But I want them to look pretty much similar though, because they're all going to be on the same project in the end. Drying, of course, before I layer any paint on top. Then I'm going to take some of this brushed metal, and it is in a gold color. And I am just kind of pouncing this up and down with this brush. Up and down, all over. It is not a smooth brush. It is almost like a type of a stencil brush. And it gives it almost what a chippy brush would give to it. Just a rough kind of finish. But I think it looks really good over the black. And then, like I said, if you want to put this down first and the black on top, you can definitely do that. I do end up, I think, I don't know if I left it in the video or not, I do end up using a little bit more of black on the top of it in the end anyway. Just to make it a little more tarnished. You know, when you hold it up against your pictures, you get an idea of if you like the coloring or not. So I'm just going to seal this with my Mod Podge. It's a clear matte sealer. You can totally use whatever you like to seal yours. I just don't want it coming off of that metal. I'm going to grab my tight bond and put it on the boxes and start putting these together to make it resemble sort of like a little house. Because it's going to be like each room's going to have different things in it, just like when you do a curio cabinet or a little, well, you know, the ones that you've seen me do. Just like that, a cabinet of curiosities. So this is going to be our Witchy Sisters cabinet of curiosities, if you will. You know, my videos and my creations are for inspiration. You can always change anything up you like. You can change any adhesive you use, any tape you use, colors, stains to stain it or not stain it, whatever you want to do to match your taste. You could use different inserts. You could use cards from Dollar Tree, totally up to you. Now I have this little stack of skulls and some of this wax. It's a dark wax. I'm just learning how to use it. I'm just kind of going out a little bit, I guess. I'm exploring a little bit more on my antiquing techniques and trying some different things because I always go for my antiquing wax, but I've been happy with this so far. I really have. So I'm just going to go in here with a soft brush and get down in every single nook and cranny in here, every bit of it. This was a rather stark white with no shading and the black eyes, and it just did not look aged to me. So I thought we're going to do this, and then I'm going to wipe it back and see what we come up with. So I'm just getting a little soft cloth here. Soft cloth. There we go. And I'm going to wipe back all of the excess and leave the wax down in all of the little depressed areas. And it's pretty easy to do. You just rub over the surface and it will stay. Look at that. Perfection. It's exactly what I was going for. So our little house is coming together. I'm going to take some of my tape here and run it right along the top because you are not going to get a good hold if you use hot glue with that metal. It is just not going to happen. It is going to pop off. So I am going to use this instead, but you can use the same tight bond that you used to put the boxes together. If you have time and you want to wait, you'll also need to clamp it down because you don't get immediate hold. You can hold it in place or clamp it, but doing this with the tape works so much better, in my opinion, because it's sticky on both sides, and once you press it down, it's immediate hold. So it's perfect. It's perfect for what I'm doing. Plus, it's clear, so you really can't see it. You can cut your strips smaller. You can use little blocks. I'll show you in a minute how you can just kind of put patchy pieces if you don't want to do a roll. And you can get this tape. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but you can get this tape in a variety of widths. So you can get the more narrow, you can get really wide, depending on what you want to use it for. There's a lot of uses for nano tape. It's just up to you. You just have to kind of let your mind go out there, like I have been doing. Makes my crafting a lot quicker, y'all. Really does. And this stuff is super strong. I get mine from TEMU, and it's not called nano tape. I think when you get it at Walmart, it's called nano tape. It's also called alien tape, gator tape. There's a bunch of different names because a bunch of different companies make it, but it's pretty much the same thing. All right. I've only tried the cheap stuff from TEMU, and I'm extremely satisfied. So if I can pay 49 cents a roll for it, yeah, I think I would rather do that. Moving on. I am just showing you that if you have a hard time getting the edge up because it is clear as well, just grab a weeding tool and you can get that off of there. Starting in the corner, and I'm just going to push it down, and I'm using my fingers to make sure that that edge is even with the top edge of the box. And then whatever's on the outside of it, you just bend that over. It's pretty malleable. You can bend it with your fingers, but you can also kind of knock on it with your scissors if you want to kind of, bend those edges around. But this is how that looks, and I'm very happy with that trim on there. If you don't have this, you could use some type of a fabric trim if you wanted to. That is a little Christmas tree that I spray painted black. I've got a little potion bottle. I've got a little black cat figure. And there's our little skull. I've got a variety of other things we're going to add to it as well. There's a broom. All right, I'm going to cut a little length of jute and work on that broom because that black and white is a little too modern for the look I'm going for. So I'm just going to use jute to wrap that around. You don't have to do this. You can make your own brooms as well, or use whatever type of a little broom that you have. But since I had this one available, we're going to use what we have to save money. So that's what I did. And I'm just going to wrap that around there and then add a little glue and then cut off any of the excess. Then I'll use my heat tool and I'll get the white clumps of glue off of there, and it also takes the fuzziness down off of the jute. It'll make it nice and smooth, and that to me looks like a little more like it's been used a lot and aged. Just be careful when you're using any heat tools to protect your fingers and your any other things that are laying on the table. You don't want to melt anything. So I'm going to fluff out the bottom of this, push that back down because I got it a little too hot, and then decide where I want to put all my pieces. This is like the favorite part, think of doing something like this. I really hope y'all like this idea and that you'll try it. If it's something that you want to add to your home, I would love it. And anytime y'all have something that you do, a creation that you make, and you want to share it with me, you can just email me at makingitmyown1@gmail.com. I would love to see it. I have several ladies who regularly send me pictures of their creations, and I love it. I love to see what you come up with. It's amazing how things can be done so incredibly different, from person to person. I love that. Makes it special, and it shows me that you have learned to make it your own, and that's what we're supposed to do, right? It's in your house. It needs to bring you joy. So I'm going to put the cat down here. I know you can't see, but that little witch on that side actually has a cat in the background with her, but you can't see it. So I put the cat in front of her cat. Then I put a potion bottle down for the other lady. She looks like she's mad anyway. Looks like, well, she may be looking in the mirror, but it looks to me like she's got a little broom there. She's about to whack her sister with it. Y'all, I've got this little birdhouse thing. I'm not sure where it came from, but how pretty would that be right on top of the house to give it like a little roof? So here's the antique wax that y'all are used to seeing me use. I'm going to take a brush. I'm going to put it all over except for the chimney and the roof of the house, which I will be coloring black. So we're just kind of adding a little more Victorian vibe to this little witch's house by putting this steep peak on the top. Then I'm just using some of that Tite Bond on there. You can use a little Tite Bond, a little hot glue. Well, no, I'm using hot glue. I didn't use my Tite Bond this time. And I'll put it on there and find out, just where I want to place it and then hold it there for just a second. And then you can start painting that roof line. So I just want to say thank you. However you ended up here today, if you came from another person's channel that recommended me, if you saw me in your channel recommendations, whatever brought you here, I am very, very happy and pleased that you were here with me today. All right, so I'm going to take my wax and I'm going to cover up a spool. The little pieces down there that I showed you, the lamp and that little sewing machine, those came from the thrift store. It was a bunch of dollhouse stuff that came from a thrift store, and I got several of the pieces that I could scarf up because other people were getting them too, of course. And then the little buttons that you saw me show you, those were from, I believe Colleen sent me those. I got a bunch of goodies in a huge box from one of my sweet subscribers. So yes, I am using them. If you are wondering, yes, when you send me something, I do use it. Okay. Oh, somebody sent me a Victorian book too, and it is beautiful. I cannot wait. I'm going to hopefully be able to use that around Christmas time. So those are coming up too. Now I've got my lamp on a table. Wanted to raise it up a little bit, add some dimension and depth in there so that it gives you some interest. It's glued on. Now I'm going to glue it down in the bottom. See, she's holding candles and she has a little lamp in her room. I love it. Maybe she just lit that lamp with some of those candles and now she's going to see her sister. I'm going to glue the sewing machine down there. Just added a little antiquing wax here and there. There's a coal bucket. I'm going to put that up there with the sister in the top. She's kind of reminded me of Cinderella. She's got the broom and the coal bucket in her room. She's the worker of the family. And look, y'all. Now, I know I need something right on the top, right? We got to do something to fancy it up. So I'm going to take this large button or decorative piece, whichever one. It doesn't have a button ring on the back, so it was in there and I'm using it. It looks like a doily. So if you didn't have something like this and you had a small doily, you can certainly use that. Or maybe even paint a snowflake and use that. Love the cutouts in it. So it was green and now it's gold and I'm drying it. Then I'll take a little more of the wax, what was left in the brush, and just kind of tap that in there to give it a little age. Yes. Then I'm going to add some glue on the back and put it in that top section. Oh my goodness. Now I'm lining it up with my fingers in case you're wondering. I'm trying to make sure that that line, center line, is straight up and down, which is a little bit off, but who cares? It won't bother me. Think of all the different things you could put in yours. Mine, I have kind of a Victorian theme going, but you could do anything that you wanted to with this. Any banner set, any card that you have, you could do this for Christmas with Christmas cards. I will be doing at least one Victorian Christmas like this. So y'all be ready for that. Okay, so I have this pink button and I decided to paint it black and then brush over it with some gold and add that so each of the little ladies have something special. And I just put it where her waistline would be. And then this button I thrifted. It's got velvet in the center and it's metal on the outside. I'm just holding it with my little tool here and I'm brushing that same gold all over that metal part, and I'll give it 2 coats, drying it in between, because if you don't dry it, it's just going to pick the same paint up and move it, and then it's just too much work. Just let it dry, and then I know we're not all patient. I'm definitely not a very patient person, but I promise you the results are worth it. I cut the back off of the button so they would lay flat. And then look, they each have their little adornment, their own little personalities. Their rooms are different. You can kind of see a storyline with each of these sisters. So which sister are you? Are you the lady with the light? Are you the seamstress over there? Are you the one who loves the animals and works? Works a lot, cleans a house, nice and tidy house. So I really hope that you like this one and consider it if you do not have a little curio cabinet that you can use. Now I've added little tea lights in here, and these are battery operated tea lights that I already had. You can get these pretty much anywhere. into each room, and look how pretty that is. You can see each of those ladies. You can light yours up any way you want. You could do fairy lights in here, drill a little hole in the back, whatever you want to do. But this one is near and dear to my heart. Yes, Boo Box. I'm going to use some pumpkin chalk paint, black chalk paint, a cutting tool, and some paint brushes, of course. I'm going to use some Mod Podge. I'm just going to use satin today. And then some of these ornaments from TEMU, like you saw in another video. Love these. And these are the 3 I chose. And then we're going to choose some fabric that's going to coordinate with our pieces. And I like this one with the polka dots. Okay, so here's the information on the fabric. I got this while thrifting. We're going to lay this out and cut off a piece that is going to fit on the inside. It's going to be a little bigger than the inside. Don't try to cut it in an exact piece. We're going to fix that later. All right, now we can start painting this little box. Now this is a piece that I thrifted. It had a lid with it and no hinges, no screws. It was just like, I guess, a DIY kind of thing, but it looks a little bit like a pumpkin to me, flat on the bottom, or maybe the moon, you know, kind of, I don't know. I thought this would be really cute for Halloween, and so we're going to go with it. I'm just going to paint the inside of this. Don't have to paint the bottom. That's not necessary because the fabric will be there. We're going to go all over the inside with this pumpkin orange chalk paint. You can use any chalk paint you like. I'm only going to use 1 coat because, you know, that's the beauty of chalk paint. Good coverage. Now I'm going to grab a little sponge brush and go around the lip of this piece all the way around. You can choose any colors you like, but I think these are really good for Halloween. And you know, it's pretty simple. It's going to be a pretty simple look. You can do this with a brush if you trust yourself, but because this is flat and I'm barely grabbing any paint to put on there, it keeps it from bleeding over onto the inside of the box. The outside really won't matter because we're going to paint that black as well. You can see where the little hinge spots are where you would put your hinges. I used the top for another project. Okay, so now we're going to do the outside, and I'm just going to put a coat of that black paint. I believe that's rich black. It doesn't really matter. Just black will work. And if you don't have chalk paint, you can go to Dollar Tree and get some of the chalkboard paint. I've had very good results from that. So we're going to let it dry, and then I'm going to go all over the inside with a layer of Mod Podge. Going to make it a nice even layer. And then I'm going to put that fabric on top and press it into this little piece. I'm going to tuck it all around, just pushing with my fingers up against the corner where the walls meet the back, all the way around, just tucking, tucking, tucking. And then I'll get a little squeegee and flatten this all out. Make sure that I am getting it as close as possible up there because it's going to give us a nice clean finish between the painted surface and the fabric that we are putting on here. If you don't have a decoupage medium like the Mod Podge that I'm using, you can use school glue for this. Any way that you want to attach this down to the back that works for you in the past, you can use that technique here. Just because I do it this way does not mean you have to. Remember, I always encourage you to make it your own on this channel. Now, once I get that layer down, I'm not even going to let it dry. I'm going to go right back in there with a brush. Make sure all of my pieces up into the corner or even press down. The idea is to not only keep this in place, but to make the edges of this where it meets the sides of the box in the back thick enough that it's going to be easy to slice through. So we're going to make it, actually change it till it's almost like a papery type consistency of the fabric. If you've ever done decoupaging before, you'll know what I mean. You'll understand what I mean by that. But just trust the process. And you're going to go all the way around with a nice, even coat. And that's what I'm doing. Just making sure everything's nice and even. And allow that to dry. I just let mine dry overnight while I went on to other things. Now I'm going to put that blade right into the corner where the back meets the sides all the way around, and then you can just pull that off. And you can see that the texture of the fabric is more, it's more thick. And look what a nice edge that gives. Love that. Love that. So now I've just got, I had a bag of these little letters, and I'm going to take these Scrabble letters and I'm going to make some words to use. So you can use any Halloween words that you like. You can do spooky or Halloween or Hallows Eve, whatever you want to use. Now what you see me doing here is showing the difference between the dimensions when you add some type of a riser behind it. It could be a foam block, it could be the little blocks from Dollar Tree. You can see the shadow around it. And that's what I'm going for. I want these to be a little different and a little varied. These are just things that make your pieces stand out and be a little different. So I thought about putting Halloween on the inside, and they would just be up against the surface, you know, tucked up against the wall here in the back. But I think I want to do it here. So I'll start with the center letter in the word Halloween, and that's going to be the O, and I'll center it on the top of the box just by eyeballing it, because you know I'm not doing the numbers over here. No measuring for me. These are handcrafted things. I'm not going to be precise, right? So, you know, keep tacking it down, and I'll just work from the middle outward. If you like what's going on this channel right now, I would love it if you would give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I'm working on a goal, speaking of Halloween, of 100,000 subscribers by Halloween. I would love it if you would be part of our family and part of that number. But only do it if you like what's going on over here, right? That's right. Make it worth your while. So I'll just continue to work around until I get these all the same. Now I'll use my finger on the back of these tiles to get them about the same height going all the way around so that they look, you know, fairly even. And I love that. It looks like a little stage for a play, doesn't it? I think that's really cute. Now you can go along the back here and add a little more glue if you would like, this to make sure that they're a little more secure because they're only stuck down by that little bit that we put on the back. So that will work here, or you could use some type of a super glue if you want to do it that way. I think that's cute. Now this is just a block that I have. Pick all this kind of stuff up when I see it in the thrift store, but these actually came originally from Target and I got them at a store called Dirt Cheap. So they were probably 50 cents. Now I'm going to add these on here. This is going to give us some dimension, and the one in the center is actually going to be the place where we house the light control, because yes, we're going to have lights in here, y'all. I have had lots of happy comments from people saying they love the light up projects, so we're going to be doing another one here. It's just playful, right? It's playful. It gives some dimension. It just gives a little more, keeps it from being so flat. You know, it's unexpected. But you don't have to put lights in yours. Just use mine for inspiration, because you might not even have the box that I have. You can use a square box for this. You can use a Dollar Tree frame for this. You know, it's fine. You can do this any way that you like it. Just grab the inspiration that I'm putting out there for you and make something that's going to bring you some joy. Now this beaded garland came from Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using this in here. I'm thinking, do we use it on the outside of the box, which would be super cute, or we could use it on the inside of the box. So I'm just, you know, I'm going to be giving you a bunch of ideas here. I think I like it on the inside. So I'm going to cut off my tassel, and I can actually use the tassel for something else. I will retie the knot on the end so that nothing comes off, because otherwise beads are going to go flying all over the place. And it's easier to apply these in the strand on a rope like this than it would be to do bead by bead. You're saving yourself some time and energy. So a little extra glue on there to hold the knot in place and make sure everything is secure. And then we can start putting that down. Just cutting off my excess. We want it to look neat, right? And then I will check and see that I have the right amount in here. And then I will cut that off. I cut it close to the table so the beads that fall off will just fall onto the table. And mine stayed together, surprise, surprise. So I'll tie another knot here. And if you can't tie a knot that small, it's fine. Just use glue. Just use the glue and hold it in place. But I put my knot, tuck it in there, add some glue. Now I have a short strand that's going to fit perfectly around the edges. Now, for the lights, I'm going to take this string of fairy lights that I have, and I'm going to wrap them around and around this strand of beads. I'm just going to go round and around, and it is so long, this strand, that it actually goes around here twice. So I really got a lot. For a strand of fairy lights, I got a lot of lights, a lot of coverage. And by the way, I am very happy to say that I'm now a TEMU affiliate. Yes. So, they heard, y'all. They heard. They heard everybody saying, I ought to be working with TEMU for as much money as I spend over there. And you're exactly right. And now I am. So there you go. That simply means that if you were to order anything using my affiliate link, which will be in the description box below, that I'll get a small amount of commission from that, but it's not going to cost you anything additional. So it'll just help me out if you're looking for a way to help my channel and you want to use any of the products that you see me use. And you know, I use thrifted items, I use Dollar Tree items, I use all that. So I've glued the little light box on the back and it's behind the head. It fits perfectly. We're going to be able to hide it because we're going to paint it black. This is how that's going to look. A strand of lights does have 2 different flashing modes and then a solid mode, but I rarely use the flash. And then a little bit of hot glue to glue it down. Then I decided, okay, well, what about putting some more of this tree on there? Now, this is a Dollar Tree Halloween tree. All I'm doing is cutting this off to make it more like a garland. You can form this together to make almost like a little halo and then put it down in there, or you can just glue the pieces down. You know, sometimes I feel like I'd be doing too much. But it just shows you that there are so many different ways to do it, right? This is going to help cover up that gray on there. You can still see the beads for those of you who are concerned. If you don't want to use the beads, don't use the beads. Use garland and just wrap your lights around there or layer them however you like it. Now I'm grabbing that black chalk paint and I'm going over the light box that is on the back behind that little ornament. You know, think about those Scrabble pieces, and you could actually take a little bit of orange paint, water it down, and make a stain for those if you wanted something a little more colorful instead of using the plain brown Scrabble pieces. But I like that. I don't have a problem with that. So, you know, I prefer things that are rustic anyway, so this works for me. But you do what your heart desires. Now we're going to find placements for our little girls or our little girl and boy or whatever, our little trick-or-treaters. They're cute. They're in their little costumes. They're all little pumpkins in here. So I'm just going to add my glue in my different heights on the backs of these little babies. Aren't they adorable? Press those into place, kind of at a little bit of an angle. They're not straight up and down. I'm going to check it out and see what else we need to do on this piece. So I'm going to grab some ornaments. I am recycling some of these from other projects. You can get these little ornaments from Dollar Tree if you are looking for some. You could also use table scatter from Dollar Tree if you can find something in the colors that you're looking for. You could definitely do that. And I'm pretty sure at Halloween, I haven't been to the store this year, but I'm pretty sure at Halloween they have sort of color coordinated to the holidays or the seasons. So you could find something that you like. And I'm just, right now, I'll add the ornaments down and then I'll look at where else do I want to put these? How else do I want to build this up on the bottom? Almost like they're little balloons, you know, kind of like in the other set that I did with these ornaments. It's another video. I'll link that for you. I used them like balloons and I think they're so cute. It's just another way to use your pieces, because sometimes we buy things and we never use it because we can't think of how we could use it, but we have it available. Grab that stuff and use it. Look, I've got this little thing of pom-poms with little, kind of like little sparkles on it, and I thought, well, let's add that. We've got yellow in here, so let's just add some of that and really make this look playful. Y'all, check out the description box below for the information on the Crafty Cruise getaway. You hear me talk about it in every video. And I do that because this is a business for me that I am very passionate about. The fun that we have, the things that we learn. It's a community of people that are so loving and creative and giving. If you need a vacation, like I need a vacation, please consider joining us. I would love to meet you, get to put a face with the names that support me all the time. All right. So now I'm just adding a little bit here and there, just kind of bringing the design up. And I decided I'm going to add Boo right on the inside. So maybe they're at a party, and this is a little banner that's hanging on the wall. How cute. So now I've got Boo in there. But you could do spooky or scary or whatever Halloween words you can think of that makes you happy or that kind of fits your scenery. I love this. Oh, and I love bringing it to you. I love showing y'all something new and different. Look how precious. I hope y'all love this as much as I do because I really, really love this piece. I couldn't wait to bring it to y'all. And here it is lit up. Now, if I didn't have the tinsel in there or the little branches in there, it would be brighter, but I love the look at this. It reminds me of the little garland that I don't know the exact word for it, but it's the paper kind of garland that they used to use. I love that it looks like that. Nice. Dollar Tree wood porch decor, and it lights up. These are the 3 colors that I've chosen. Very bright for Halloween, very festive. I'm going to use some black. I'm also going to use some brown. I've got these little blocks. The Dollar Tree sign that says Wicked. It's got a moon and a witch hat. I've got some string lights. They are multicolored. And I have another one of these Dollar Tree signs. It's very thin, very, very thin wood. Now we get to paint. Isn't that fun? Let's take the tags off of everything. We're not going to be hanging this. It's going to be a freestanding piece you can put on a table. Be sure when I say that these are for your porch that you have these in a covered porch. Covered porch. You want to protect them. So we've got these flipped over to the back, and we're going to cover up the holes that are in here. We don't want these little holes showing. So I'm just using a little bit of felt and some hot glue on the back side of each one of these little spots, even on the bigger one. This is very easy to do. You could also use just a piece of tape if you wanted to. I'm going to use a little bit of this lightweight spackling. You could use wood putty, whatever you want to use. The spackling from Dollar Tree works good for me. I've had this same container forever. I think it'll stay moist as long as you keep the lid on it. By the way, that was for you, sis. That was for you. All right, so we're going to fill those in, and then you're going to let that dry. Yeah, you can, while it's still wet, you can kind of scrape it off to make sure it's flat and even and you won't see it. And then we'll let those dry. And when they're dry, we can start painting, the fun part. I love to paint. I hope you guys like to paint as much as I do. It's just so much fun. I love it. It's amazing what just a little bit of color can do for a project. So I'm using this black on a paintbrush here, whatever brush you want, and I'm going to color the whole thing. You could also use some black spray paint if that's what you choose to do. Make it your own. I would love it very much if you would subscribe to this channel. If you're new here, if you have been here for a long time just as a watcher, now is the time. What you waiting for? Thank you so much for being here, for stopping by today and watching this video for me, and I hope that you like this video. This is a brand new project, y'all. I've also painted those blocks black so they won't be noted. Got some paint brushes for our different colors of paint here, and we're going to start painting. I wanted this little piece to be very fun, and I'm not going to say childlike necessarily, but, you know, bright and whimsical. So I've chosen this bright purple, a bright green, and I think I got a pumpkin orange. And be sure you shake your paints really, really well. I thought I did with this one, but apparently I did not, and it came out like a watercolor instead. So just shake it up. If that happens, go right back over the top. I put 2 coats of paint on all of this once this was dry. And then if you choose to seal it, you can do that. I wanted the hat to be purple, the moon to be orange, but you can use yellow if you want to. Or you could make your moon white, or you could make the moon silver. You know, there's a lot of options with these Dollar Tree signs. A lot. You can do so much, and I've used them on a lot of projects. And then, of course, we're going to use the green for the word wicked. I'm going to use some black on the... No, I used brown on the bristles for the broom, and then I think I used purple for the broomstick. We'll take a look at that in just a moment and see. So as I was saying, this is a new project, and then I've got 2 or 3 more that I don't know if you have seen or not. So I've added those on there for you because I feel like if you really like this one, you're going to like those as well. All right. A quick thank you to everybody also for being so wonderfully supportive and watching my mega videos when I make them, watching my shorter videos as I go through this process of divorce and trying to relocate. It has helped me so much, and I just thank you for it. I can't thank you enough. So now I've got a black marker. I'm going to go all the way around the edges of this. Now, if you got to be very careful and slow so that you don't get ink on here, but you can flip it over and do it from the back side so you're sure not to make a boo-boo there. All right, so on the brown part of the brush, I've decided to add some sparkles, like there's magic in it. So I've got some of this glitter glue that I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to kind of pat it on. It's really thick. It's not a paint, it's really thick. If you don't have this, just use a little bit of Mod Podge or some school glue and put some glitter on it. I wanted this to look like little sparks flying out of here. And I'm just turning the brush to the side so I can pat that glitter down to make it stay. Very pretty colors. Then I decided, you know what, we're going to do a hat band too. We're going to give her a matching hat band. So I do 2 coats of this on this part of the hat as well. And then let that dry. So now we've got this witch with her cauldron, and we've got our blocks ready, and this is what's going to hold up our piece. I'm going to try to put 2 of the blocks where it's the solid part of the witch, and then the 3rd block is going to be down there with one of the feet of the cauldron. It's going to cover up a little bit of the point, but I think that it is totally okay. And this is why we painted black, so that it won't stand out. You can use something like E6000, Gorilla Glue, something like that if you want this to last forever. But I would only use this like on Halloween day or Halloween night for trick-or-treaters. I think it would be a really cute treat for them. And now we know she's going to stand on her own. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. Now we have to make some bubbly magic for that cauldron, right? So I tried this a few different ways, and this is what I settled on. I'm going to put that strand of lights, I'm going to pull them apart instead of leaving them in the twist. Pull them apart so they're about as wide as the top of the cauldron. Then I'm going to leave the control box on the outside. I'll roll it up so that all the clear is on the outside, and then it's going to go behind the cauldron. And because it's clear, you can still see right through it. Not a problem. I'm going to use a little bit of my double stick mounting tape. You can use double stick tape, you can use cool temp glue, you can use whatever type of adhesive you want to use for this. Pull that other piece of tape off, and then I'm going to push the bottom of the bag and the top part that zips straight down into that tape, so it is firmly attached to the back. Then I'm going to take my corners and roll them over almost like I don't know, like a mound on the top, like a rounded piece. And I'm just using some more of my double stick tape to put it down. If you use hot glue, you're probably going to melt the bag, and I don't know if you would damage the lights or not. You just have to kind of use your own discretion with that. And then I'm going to take the light pack, peel off, and struggle a minute apparently, and then place that pack right down there by the support. Now I've got some of the spider web. Mine came from TEMU, y'all. It was 59 cents, but you can get this anywhere, right? Anywhere. And a little bit goes a long way because it's majorly stretchy. You probably already have some of this at home. So I'm just going to pull, 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 pull. I take about half the amount that you see right now. I'll cut that in half because it's just way too much. You wouldn't be able to see the lights, you know, through it. And I want this to glow somewhat. So I am stretching this out, making it sort of a oval shape maybe, twisting it over the top just a little bit. We're kind of folding it over and rounding it so it looks like a round heap there. So I know that's going to be enough. I'll use some more of my mounting tape and my weeding tool to get that piece of backing off of there. And then I can just push the edge of that down into that mounting tape. Again, use whatever type of adhesive you want to, but keep in mind if you use some type of glue, you're going to have to wait for that to dry. So I'm trying to keep that same form. Think of the little hairdos that our grandmothers had. The little poofy hairdo with the permanent wave with the short hair, and you had to tease it. You had to tease it with the comb, and then it was round like a little football helmet. Y'all remember Steel Magnolias, the little football helmet hair? That's what we're doing on top of the cauldron. So now I've added this, my tight bond on here, and I'm putting it dries really quick, y'all. Putting it on there, smearing it out a little bit, and gonna push this down into it. So tight bond will work for you if you want to use it quick and thick. It dries pretty quickly and it holds very well. Okay, I like the shape, and I like that you can see the little lights in there. Not bright lights, that's not what I'm going for. No, no. And then just to cover the back, keep it a little more secure, I've just cut a little rounded piece of felt to help kind of hide that and reflect the light back off of it into the green. I'm going to use a little bit of this sealer and spray the top. You can use hairspray on that, y'all, and it will hold it in place. Now we've got to have a way to attach the wording to the silhouette. And I'm just going to use some of these little Jenga blocks. Now, these are colored because they came from Target in an Easter kit, but you can use the ones from Dollar Tree. Just paint those black and they will disappear. You won't even see them, practically. You know, you'll see them if somebody points it out, but otherwise you're not going to really notice it. Then I'll find some spots that have enough room for supports and that makes sense for where you would want to put a support to hold this firmly in place. I don't want to put this down in the middle of the puffiness on top of our cauldron, right? We don't want to squish anything down, but I want it to be plenty on there, so this is going to hold it tightly in place. You could also paint the back of this one black too. Easy enough. You could also use your double stick tape. So if you wanted to use the double stick tape, I'll show you how to do that too. Look at that. Oh my goodness, I absolutely love that. The coloring and everything is just wonderful. So now that I know it's going to work, and my supports are all where I need them to be, I didn't put it on the hat because I didn't want to squish anything, remember? I'm going to cut just little pieces off of here. But go ahead and get your regular glue that you want to use and just use that. Use your Tite Bond, use your E6000. If you use hot glue on here, as many little spots as you have to put on, you may end up with it, some spots cooling off before you're ready to flip it over. You know what I mean? You know how it sets up really fast? So I'm just going to support the head here to make this flat, evenly flat across. So when I put this down, it's easier for me to handle. I'm going to sit it on here, making sure that the bristles of the broom are not going to interfere with the bottom. It needs to be above it. So the broomstick needs to be above it so that, and I didn't get that in the camera angle, I'm sorry about that, but you know what I mean. It doesn't need to go over the end of where she's standing, or it's going to interfere with the support that we're giving it on the back side. So now all I'm doing is pushing underneath and right on top of each of those blocks. And look, y'all, perfection. Oh my goodness, this is so cute. I cannot wait for my grandson to see it. My little light packs I get from TEMU. This is like a multi-pack. It has 3 speeds on it. I'm just going to leave mine solid for now, but when I show it to the baby, of course, I'm going to have it flickering. But look at that. Isn't that cute? And I love that she is just a silhouette in the back. She's way back there. She's working on her little magic. Look at the little poofy pieces poking out of the top. Oh, I'm so excited. I love this one, y'all, and it was so cheap, but it's big. You know, it's pretty big. You could put this on a little table outside on your porch, right by your little basket with your treats for your trick-or-treaters. Put some little lights around it. It would just be so cute, and I hope you love it and consider doing it for yourself, children, or grandkids. Very simple. This could be the only thing you have in your house, and it would be absolutely perfect. And y'all be sure you stick around and watch the next couple of projects that I have on here for you, because there's some that I really like a lot and got a kick out of doing, and I really think that you'll enjoy them because they're kind of similar to what we have going on in here. The next project will be our big light up sign. So here are the projects you're going to need. You'll need the ghost cutout, pumpkin cutout, the white chalk paint, orange chalk paint, string lights, bead strands, black foam board, tower blocks, glue, brushes and tools. That part got skipped. Could not find the footage, so I put it there for you so you can make a screenshot and go get those supplies. Now these are the big pumpkin and ghost that Dollar Tree is now putting out. These are not the small ones, these are the large ones. All right, so I'm taking this sheepskin chalk paint, coloring the ghost with that. I wanted the more of a creamy white, and then here's the orange on that big pumpkin. See how large they are? Now I am going to antique it with a little bit of antiquing wax. Just put it in my tray. I'm going to grab my little chippy brush. Chippy brush just means it's a cheap brush that is pretty sturdy. And we like to use these for aging techniques and different types of painting techniques. So I love making things look old. So if you are one of my viewers who does not like the aging techniques, you don't have to do this. You certainly don't have to do it, but for my home and for most of my viewers, this is the look that you like. And the end results are gorgeous. I really do have to say, I think that this is just so pretty and festive for Halloween. So y'all hang with me. I'm going to go all over the edge. Be sure that your chalk paint is very dry. And the good thing about chalk paint is that it dries pretty quick. In my opinion, it dries faster than acrylic paint. So it makes it very convenient when we're doing videos to share with people. Okay, so if you get a little heavy-handed, and like I do in some places, just grab a paper towel or a napkin and you can just rub that out. This is a wax, not a paint. So you can, you have a little room to move that around a bit. And then also you can go back over any of that with with your orange paint if you get a spot that you don't like. Also, I would like to add, in my last video that we did with the skull and the raven, there is a technique that you can use the like a coffee wash to do the aging, and if you would like to use that, you can go watch that video and I'll tell you exactly how we do that. All right, so as we're going to go around all of the edges, of course. I don't have to do the very top because I'm not going to need that, but around all of the eyes. And you see the difference? It just really pops when you do this. So I'm going to go around the eyes, I'm going to go around the nose, the teeth, all the part of the mouth, and just give this a very aged, look at that, aged look. I'm going to grab my paper towel, of course, now this is a dry paper towel, and just rubbing this or buffing this out is going to give this more of a faded look, which gives me the age that I am trying to achieve with this project. So I hope you like this. I hope that the techniques that I show you will give you some ideas of things you can do to make your crafts your own. All right, so in areas that you have that are smaller, grab a smaller brush. This is a stenciling brush. It's very stiff, but it works well in small spaces. So I'm just going to use it around the teeth and in all those little tight areas that I can't necessarily get to with a bigger brush. Doesn't that make a difference? Mm-hmm. So tell me what kind of decorating style you're going to be using for Halloween this year. I would love to know because it will help me with making content for you. So let's give the ghost the same makeover the pumpkin got. We're going to age him too. I think it gives it more of a spooky look, and the aging it just does something to my heart. I love the vintage, y'all. I'm 50 years old, and things from my childhood and things from before that time, really, I just love it. it just resonates with me. So I like to use those types of styles, and I know that a lot of my viewers grew up in a time period where, you know, things were different than all the stuff that's modern today. And of course, I have a great appreciation for campy also, and I will be doing some campy Halloween too. So if that is what you like, that's your jam, I'm going to be making some of that too. I want to tell you, by the way, while I'm doing this and you can watch, that I really appreciate all of you who congratulated me on my 50,000 subscribers. Y'all don't know how much it touches me that you take your time, your very precious time in a busy world, to come over to my channel and encourage me and watch my videos. Even if it's not something that you particularly would use, you still come over and you say hi and you support me and you watch the video, which helps my channel so much. And anytime you do anything to help my channel, it helps my family. It helps my 4 kids, the 2 adults, the 2 little ones. It helps me. It helps everything. I'm even going to be able to start a college fund for my kids, and that you can't even understand how that feels to be able to do that. And it is so very appreciated. None of what I have achieved could be done without y'all, and I love y'all so much for that. And I just want to take the opportunity again to thank you for that, to thank you for all that you do to support and encourage me. Okay, so what do you think? Yeah, I think they look good. Yes. Rustic and aged and just gorgeous. So of course, we want this little ghost to be above this pumpkin. I'm going to get my placement and then flip it over. And then I'm going to try to keep it in place so I know pretty much how I want it to lay back down and I don't accidentally glue the wrong thing. Okay, so there is my glue. And I am going to put this right down on the top. Now this is going to be a project you're going to want to keep indoors because it is not going to be waterproof with the foam board that we're using. But you can certainly use wood, you could use Fix-All adhesive, you could use E6000, you know, get the inspiration from it and then think of how you could do it to make it weatherproof, to put it outside, if that's what you chose to do. Now, so here are all those tower blocks that I already had, so no additional cost, already had them. And I'm going to be adding these as supports around these spaces where we're going to put the wire. This is going to help me string the wire around the mouth, the eyes, the nose that is down there in the pumpkin, and hold everything in place. You could also go over the back. This wood is very thin, very, very thin. You could go over the back, maybe use 2 of the ghosts and 2 of the pumpkins and put them together. You could perhaps cover up some of the lights if you don't want them to show, because in the end, even though the time was taken to position these blocks to have a space to put the wire, there's still lights that you can see right through the ghost and the pumpkin. I'm not bothered by that though. That doesn't bother me at all. I just really wanted to make sure that around the eyes and the mouth and the nose there were definitely lights in that area. So you'll see in the end though what I'm talking about, and then you can make your decision from there. Now I'm using these blocks on their side so they're at the shortest height they can be, right? They're laying flat down. I am going to be adding another layer on top of these in just a moment, just to show you that we need to allow enough space for the box that our lights have batteries in, right? Got to have room because we want to put it on the back and hide it. I don't want any wires showing on the front, so I'm going to show you how you can do that. Get those supports in there good. I mean, really make sure that you have as much around there as you can. If you don't have tower blocks, what else could you do here to do that? You could perhaps use some tape and just tape your lights in space if you want to. Just tape them down. You could do that. I'm going to use a little hot glue with my supports to help hold everything in. This really gives some weight to it as well, so I don't have to worry about my project falling over, because it's very lightweight like I mentioned, and then the foam board that we use is going to be very lightweight as well. Y'all, I'm going to tell you a memory I had while I was doing all of these projects. When I was in I think it was the 5th grade, my stepmother made Halloween costumes for all 4 of us kids. We were animals. I was a lion, and I absolutely loved it. It had the little furry cuffs, it had the tail with the little puff on the end of it, and it had the mane. You cannot even know. And I have dressed up so many different ways for Halloween and even as an adult. But that little costume, I wish that it was somewhere that I had it, you know, because it meant so much. You don't think about it when you're a kid, but as an adult, you think of all the work that it took her to make 4 costumes for 4 kids with that much detail. I mean, she really did it, and we were so, I don't know if the rest of the kids were as excited as I was, but I remember, and if my sister, I know you're watching this video, can you remember, you were in the 3rd grade, you probably don't remember, but can you remember which one you were? I don't remember what the rest of y'all were. Somebody was gray though. I don't know if it was a gray squirrel or a cat or a raccoon. I don't, maybe that was my brother. I don't know for sure. But yeah, I remember that. And you know, those handmade things, even back then, are just, they're so important, and they're so, I guess the work that goes behind it, you know, is just so appreciated now that I'm an adult, and I didn't see it then. So if you are watching this, you know, for my stepmom who worked so hard on those, I really do appreciate it and love you for it. All right, so now we are wired up. I used a little hot glue. I used a little bit of paper around the eyes to just, you know, kind of hold it in place. Now I'm testing the thickness of the battery pack, and it is thicker than the Jenga block or the building tower block. So I'm just going to add additional ones here and there, mainly to support and to hide that box. So I'm just going to go around and put these in different areas. Added some more on the top so that I'll have some stability. Now these particular lights, I don't have a back for. I looked and found several backs, but you know, of course, none of them fit. I'm going to wrap a little plasticky part that doesn't have the lights on it just around the back. And then I can use a little bit of double stick tape or some of that nano tape to press it down and hold it into place, where I can be sure to still get my finger in there to turn the light on and off. And so this is that tape. Somebody had asked me about this. I don't know what it's called at Walmart, so if you do know, let me know. It is double stick. It is really thick, like a gel-like texture, is the best way I could put it. It's, you know, and it has a wonderful adhesion. It is really good. I get mine off of TEMU, and it is called nano tape, but I'm not sure what it's called at Walmart. So I'm going to put those on those double blocks, so the ones we doubled up, and we're going to use that to stick it down to the foam board. Because, you know, foam board has foam in it. If you put hot glue on it, it won't necessarily stick. It could stick and then peel off when you lift your project up, and we don't want that. I'm going to save you the trouble by doing the work. All right, so we're going to press everything down into place. And only press where you put those extra supports now, so pay attention. And then I'm going to take this strand of beads and go all the way around. I had 2 strands that I had thrifted and has been in my decor. I've been using it as decor, but now I'm going to be using it as, I'm going to give it new life and use it on a new decor piece. I love that it already looked aged, so it matched perfectly to outline this. If you don't already have something that is like coordinating colors, you could of course spray paint it or chalk paint it, or you can just buy the raw beads and color them yourself. If you don't like that, buy a piece of garland that's already put together. You could also use a tinsel from, you know, Dollar Tree. If you like that look, you can put that on there. Continue going around. I'm just going to curve around my edges. It's so much easier to do this if it is still on the string. I don't recommend you take the beads off and do it individually. It will take forever. And this is how the sign will look. Now this is the sign without being lit up. Looks gorgeous as it is, right? I think so. I think it matches what we have going on already for Halloween this year. Then this is the beautiful piece when it is lit up with the lights on. And I'm going to give you also a look at this with the lights off. If y'all have enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and perhaps share it with somebody who you think would enjoy it. It helps my channel a lot, and it lets me know that I'm doing something that you enjoy and that is valuable to you. I always want to bring you the things that you want to see. The haunted shadow box is going to be the next piece. I've got some rich black chalk paint and a brush that happens to be stained with black paint already. I've got some black tape. This is 3M, in case you're wondering. String of lights. And these are from TEMU. Pull the tab out. It has 3 settings. Just like so. I love these. You can get them in a package. They're great. And then I'm going to use this decal. Here's the info, but I will have the link for you. Okay. And it just happens to fit in another thrifted piece that I have. You can see here about how big it is. And this is a shadow box that I thrifted. You could do this on a smaller scale with one of those little banks from Dollar Tree. You know, the ones that are clear in the front. You could probably do it on a smaller scale. And maybe with the decal that you get from Dollar Tree. Who knows? I don't even know what's out there right now at Dollar Tree, y'all. I don't know. So this particular one had like a linen type background, like a, I don't know, it's a fabric on it. I'm just going to pull it off. And I'm going to pull off all the little strands here. I'm going to clean my glass off. You need to be super careful when you're cleaning glass from frames or anything else. The edges are rough and sharp, and you can slice yourself. So just be very careful. I'm trying to do the majority of my cleaning here with it still in the frame, so I don't have to touch it as much. And then I can just turn it around. I'll pull out these little pieces. They're actually the dividers that go between the backing and the front. And just kind of lean it forward, and then you can clean the other side of it. See, I'm going to take it out carefully and go around those edges that need to be cleaned. And just get that off. This is a microfiber towel that I'm using. But you can use paper towels, whatever kind of cleaner that you like also you can use for your glass. I'm just using a little glass cleaner, a little Method glass cleaner, I do believe. That needs to be completely dry. And we're going to go over this frame. We're going to take this to a very matte black color. You can use spray paint to do this if you want to. You can use acrylic, but it's going to take more layers, and it depends on the material that you're putting it on, whether it's wood or MDF or plastic. So just use what you have for this to make this go from a wood look to black. Okay, so here's that mat. I'm going to use a piece of craft paper for the background. I like this black and gray because it kind of looks like a night sky. It's still a little bit playful, but it has a little, I'll say it again, a little dimension because it has darker and lighter colors in it. So it gives it a little more something to look at. I'm just using a glue stick here, just a school glue stick. I'll flip it over and then put it down on the paper. And this will be our new backing rather than the fabric that was on there. You could use creepy cloth. You could use any type of fabric that you like if you wanted to, but you'd probably have to use some decoupage for it. I like it very much. It's foam, so it's easy to deal with, and I'm just going to press it down. You don't have to worry about anything squishing out when you're using a glue stick. And then I'm just using the little tool here from Mod Podge. And I'm going to make sure everything's nice and flat. Everything is pressed down so that it is getting a little bit of adhesive on every piece of it. Then I've got a thick piece of felt. It's like a felt backing, and I'm going to use that to protect my table. And I'll take a utility knife carefully and get your fingers out of the way. I still had my hand there and I should have moved it. And then go down the edge of it and just take that edge off. But you can use scissors, whatever you need to trim it down to make it the same size, because we want it to all fit back together, right? Okay, so to elevate my glass a little bit, I decided to just carefully use that bottom to hold my glass in place so I don't have to move it around and get to all the edges and pieces. I've got a foam brush. I'm going to use Mod Podge and go over this entire piece of glass with a nice even coat. Why am I doing this, you may wonder? Because putting this on here is going to give me a cloudy or misty looking background. It's going to change this from that shiny glass to something that is more, gives it kind of a spooky look, you know. I'll dry it, and that's easy to do. If you have the time, just put your pieces aside that need to dry. You don't have to have a heat tool. You could use a blow dryer. It doesn't matter. So I am going to trim this down just a little bit by cutting over the decal and over the backing that it is on. And I'll pull it off my backing. And my mailman actually, or whoever delivered this, it was probably the mailman, crumpled up my package, so this does not look like it is flat. That's not a problem because we're going to flatten it out. So once that Mod Podge is dry, we're going to put this down. If you fold it in the middle, you can kind of eyeball where your center is going to be. And I don't do things precisely, y'all. I just don't. But if that's your bag and that's what you like to do, then you go right ahead. I'm going to start in a small section in the middle and start rolling away. So down and out. Trying to get any bubbles and wrinkles to the outside where we can chase them out the edge, right? Now there's still going to be some little bubbles that are trapped in here. I didn't do anything drastic to get rid of them because there's a little trick that I like to use that I think would be helpful to you as well when you are doing these types of crafts. And I want to show you how you can do it because it's simple. Okay, so once we have it down, you can see that I have a bubble here. I'm going to use a sewing needle and go in at an angle, just a little hole, and pop it. And then look, when you scrape, it pushes the air right out of that tiny hole and it will lay flat. Same thing here. If you got a spot that you can't get flattened, use that pin, turn it to the side. That just gives it like a low angle, right? And you can't see like a big hole in it. You don't want your finish to have a bunch of holes in it. So if you do it like an angle, like when, you know, sometimes when you get injections or whatever, you do it at a little angle there. You got it. Now, the background blends in a whole lot better now with the hazy look that is around here. If you have a piece that you choose that is outlined and is cut close to the design, that's fine. If you don't, and it's a situation like this, I loved it. I had to have it, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to work with it because this is going to be beautiful for what I'm intending to do with it. So now I've got my Mod Podge and a little pouncing foam brush here, and I'm going to go back over where I already had the first layer of Mod Podge, and I'm going to go over, this is, I think this is my matte. Yes, this is the matte Mod Podge. I don't want it to be shiny, right? We don't want it to be shiny. And I'm going to go all over that edge and then pull it down on the sides of where the decal meets the glass. So over the edges. I'm going to go over it. I'm going to try to make sure that the amount of Mod Podge I put on there is pretty even. If it's not, it doesn't matter because it's still got the Mod Podge underneath it. It's just going to give you a little more variation, right? Not a problem. Maybe one of those little happy accidents we talk about. I did come down over the turret or the top of the house right there. That's okay. It's totally okay. And you can move this in closer to the edge of the house if you want to as well. If you don't want to blend your edges out like this, you don't have to. This is just something that I thought, hey, let's try it and see, because I don't want to think that there's anything out there that I can't craft, right? Or that you cannot craft. We want to make sure that whatever you have, we know how to work with, because you're not going to have everything I have. Okay, so nice even coat here. I'm going to look at it and think, okay, is this enough? Is this the look I'm going for? Is this going to work for this project? This is also sealing this in, and you know, that's never a bad thing either. Now I'm taking very little is left on that brush, and I'm just blending it in so we have no harsh lines. I'm going to dry it. Keep your dryer far away from it. You don't want to melt the decal in any way. I've never melted one, but I guess it could happen. You can see what it looks like as it starts to dry. And this is what it's going to be looking like so far. But wait, we got more layering to do here. Nice, 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 nice. Nice and clean. So now we're going to flip it over and we are going to work on the back side. This is wrought iron paint. That's the color. It's just an acrylic paint. I'm going to use this with that same brush I already used. That Mod Podge is not going to hurt anything. I'm going to pounce it around in there, offload a little bit of it, and I'm going to use this to create some shadowing and mistiness in here. I'm going to pounce this all around. Y'all, I don't know if I've ever seen something done like this. I don't know if it just came in my head. I don't know, but I just kept going with it. I have sort of an intuitive thing when it comes to my crafting. People have asked me before about how I come up with things and how I choose my designs and what I'm going to craft and all that. And it sometimes starts with a little idea that just pops into my head that I either write down or immediately make a move on. And then intuitively, as I'm doing it, I just keep going. There's a time in your crafting journey where you start to trust yourself and you start to trust the process, and you're not so scared of, oh, what if I mess this up? Because you learn it's paint. Paint will scrape off of glass. Glue will come off of glass. You know, you can do something else with this, right? You could change it if you needed to. But I love the idea of doing it this way, and I had so much fun. It did take some time, you know, drying the layers in between, but man, when you love your job and you love what you do, it is time well spent. So there's the back. We're going to flip it over and look at that from the back to the front. Now, this might not be too impressive to you at this point because we haven't added those lights yet. Okay, so now I'm going back over, adding a little more where I want and kind of blending it in a little bit more so there's no harsh lines, like I said. And then I'm going to make sure that that layer is completely dry. Now, I've got some King's Gold paint. This is just like a mustardy yellow color. It looks to me like a yellow light. I put my spectacles on, get my little jump brush or my little, it's like a stencil brush that you do the little lines. And then I'm going to go, we're on the back side now, and I'm going to trace out and color in the windows that I want to have lights in there. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using that yellow. It is not impressive looking from the back side, but when you flip it over, you can see the magic. I'm just doing each one. If you wanted to do light in your doorway, if you wanted to do some dots to make little spooky eyes, that would be really cool. If you did a cat, maybe you had a cat decal, you could maybe do their eyes, just whatever you want to do here with that. I'm just filling in. This is such an easy thing to do, y'all. Just filling it in, right? No perfect lines. You can see what I'm doing. You can see they don't all look the same. This is very easy. You could use a paint pen for this probably. I'm going to add one over here. And really, I could put lights wherever I wanted to, couldn't I? I could make new lights because it's just a black and white or black and clear kind of situation. I'll dry that layer. And then when I flip it over, look. Looky, look. Yes. Wait till we put the lights on there. Oh my, y'all. I had a Kincaid moment. Okay, so I'm going to grab those brushes again. These are just really good for small details. I'm going to dip into that same wrought iron. I'm not even using black. And I'm just going to trace over, again, on the back side, I'm tracing over what's already there. If you have a situation like this, now I could see this on the black background or that dark gray background. I can see it. But if you can't see it, you can lift the glass up a little bit and do it at an angle, or you could put a white paper underneath there, something lighter, so that the outline will stand out for you, and then you can just go back over it, and any parts of it that you want to give a little more dimension, you just go over it. Really easy. I'm just doing that for the trees, and then there's some bushes on the side that I kind of work with. Then I go over the rooftop on the top of that house. You could even take the opportunity, if you wanted to maybe sketch out a little raven on there, or embellish the house. Maybe you want to put more Gothic, so you put like a curved type of situation in the windows. You could do stained glass and make it a different color. You could make it spooky and do a green, whatever you like. Oh, I love it. Look how it stands out, the difference. I like that so much. And then, of course, I'm just having fun over here, and I'm just going to go ahead and continue to work. I take my time on this and just, you know, check in from time to time. I'll look and see, lift it up and see if it's enough. You know, if I have it where I want it. You can see that I have it lifted right now. And here too, I'm kind of pulling the end of that tree down, giving it a little more of a base there. And once that's all dry, look, oh, I love it. I can drop it back into the piece. And we're not going to put anything else on there yet until we get our lights in place. I love the fact that these lights, and y'all know I've been using them. I'm not trying to sell anything to y'all, but some of y'all want to know, so I'll share it with you. These lights are wonderful because the box, the power little part down there, it is so low profile that it will fit just about anywhere, and you can paint it, which makes it great. Plus, the strand of lights has, like I said, 3 different settings. I mean, you know, it's worth your money, and I'm a cheapskate, so if I tell you that, then I mean it. I wouldn't lie about stuff like that. I'm going to use this double stick gel tape to put these lights on. So I'm just going to cut them in sections that are the same size as the windows so that it doesn't hang over. If you don't make them the same size as the window, I'll show you what it looks like, because I'm going to do one just to show you it's not that big of a deal. Once you put this tape on, you don't want to take it off, so just be careful, because if you pull it off, you're going to remove your paint that you put on there. Now, the lights on this strand have like little bubbles. There'll be a piece of wire, and then a little bubble, and then a wire, and the bubble. So the bubble is where the little light sections are. I'm going to press those in to the gel tape, and believe me, it holds it in place well, not a problem. I'll continue along. I'm just peeling off some of the backings here. I didn't peel them all off. And I want to make sure there's enough slack or room in between the wire and the lights in the windows so that I can lift that wire up and you won't see it. You'll see what I mean in a minute. You see all the loops in the wire? That is intentional. Press the next one down, press the next one down. All right, now I'm going to take the rest of the wire, which still has lights on it, and I'm going to wrap it around my hand. I'm going to wrap it around, kind of press it together. You really don't have to be delicate with them. And this is what the black tape is for. I'm going to put this black tape all around the rest of the lights that we don't want to be seen, because I don't want them to be seen, right? And the black tape itself is going to hide all the light. You won't see through it. Like if you use a masking tape, you would still see the light from it. We don't want to see the light down there on the bottom. That's not the look I'm going for. If you want to, you could take yours and wrap them all around the inside edge of it. But that's not what I'm going for. So I want to make sure none of those show. And then over here in the side where it's where the line starts from the little box, we're going to be covering up those little lights as well. Each one of those, it just takes a small section, and you just make sure, and if it makes it easier for you to turn your lights on while you do this, then go ahead and do that. Make sure that none of those show out of place. This is a very intentional placement of these lights. You know, that's my reasoning for this. Now I'm going to lift all those wires up and just have them sticking upwards. If they're laying flat on the glass, you will see those when you turn your lights on. I don't want them to show, so lifting them up is going to get them out of the way, and they're very thin, so this shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be a problem at all. Do y'all love light up projects as much as I do? Because I make them for y'all, and I've made them over the past 4 years many times, so I hope that you enjoy that playfulness as much as I do. So we're reassembling. I already put those little wood pieces back in. I put my foam with the paper on it back in. I'm putting the backing on. Now I can move this piece because that was only temporary. I'll use some of my double stick tape. This is going to cover the line. And then I'm going to use my double stick tape to go right on the back side, making sure I still have access to my little controller there. I gotta be able to touch the controller to turn it off, right? And turn it on. Peel that little backing off. Sometimes it's hard to get the backing off, y'all. Not hard, it just takes a minute. So here it is when it's flashing at full speed. No, at medium speed. Now here it is with no flash. It is not as impressive in the light as it is in the dark, I assure you. So let me just give you a glimpse of this in the dark. What? Y'all. Okay, yeah, I know. I know. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing too much. But y'all, look at this. Look what we did. Look what y'all inspire me to do. Look what you drive me to do when you ask me to do certain things, when you ask me for this type of decor, when you say, I want more dark and moody, I want more, bring me more. This is not a castle, but it is a haunted house, and I think that it will do the trick. Look at it, y'all. Once you have it set up and you decorate around it, it is stunning to me. And you could always decorate the outside of the shadow box too, but I wanted all the attention to be on this piece and on that light. Look at it. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do, for sure. And I hope you enjoyed these 2 projects that we did today. I want you to click on this rectangle next. I thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you soon. Bye.